I'm Ben Langen. I took over for Ron Unger. Most of you know our Veterans Memorial. It's fairly outdated and, with all honesty, kind of lame, disrespectful in my opinion, I guess. I think it's long overdue that we do something new. The whole reason for tonight's meeting would be to try to create a committee. I don't know if, maybe I didn't get it out there well enough. I don't know how many people are interested. I did visit with the Legion and put the word out to start the process of doing this. I have no idea what to do. This is my first major project, but I think this is a huge project for the city of Casson. So ultimately tonight I would have liked to try to have a committee created and work on moving forward on, designs, the cost, and ultimately fundraising for this project. We have 2 locations for this memorial. The first one being the site that it's currently at. And then the second one would be the southwest corner of Veterans Park, where there's already a pavilion on that corner, or close to the corner. So ultimately, I don't know what the time frame of this project would be. I kind of figured, 3 years maybe before we start breaking ground.
At least 2.
Yeah. I don't know how quickly we can start getting funds and all that. Obviously, I'd love to get the word out there. Just to put a memorial in perspective, the one that Byron just completed, I was told was on the higher side of $350,000. So obviously this isn't going to be a cheap project. I don't expect us to maybe get that elaborate, but I would love to see something of that magnitude. I don't know if that's reasonable or not. I don't know if you guys have any input on this.
I was on the board as a county service officer for the Dodge Center Memorial.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with how they did theirs. I think they ran about $200,000 on theirs.
Sure.
They had a lot of people that donated time, like cement people would come.
Yep. And ultimately, I would like to reach out to some of those contractors, maybe some that are more local. I don't know if, like, Lamplin would be, interested. I did work for them for a little while. And there's other concrete companies that might be, that are local that would probably be interested in it. I don't know. We would just have to reach out.
The other way you get money is from the pavers, obviously.
Yep. And that was an idea when I talked to the Legion about pavers, and I even threw out, I would almost rather see like brass plaques that we could do instead of pavers on, on the wall, or like I said, I don't know, the designs are up in the air. I don't want to be the one that's designing it. This isn't for me, this is for veterans. I would love to have veteran input on the project.
If I could. I'm Melissa Halverson. Is there any budget from the Park Board of the city for this?
So currently there is not.
Okay.
I really just kind of brought this to attention, last month. I know it's been on the radar with Ron Unger before me. So that's something that we'll have to consider. And I talked with Brett Keefe at the Legion, and he has some connections with people who can write grants. So, that's going to be a huge benefit to us to have. We're going to need the grants to be able to proceed with this project, I think.
And I'm Ryan Christensen, City Council member, also on the board here. With the 2 to 3 year time frame, that would definitely benefit City Council to then look at when we have our yearly retreats. Maybe this is a 2025 project, 2026 project, so we can start budgeting for it. If there is an X amount of dollars that the city can contribute towards it, knowing well ahead of time, this is how much it's going to cost, how much can we provide. That I might not be on council by then, that could be a couple of years away. before the next election, but that's something we could talk about. We just had our last retreat, actually last Saturday, talk about big budget items. This would be something we bring back eventually to them, saying, hey, this is a big budget item we'd like to add in over the next year or two. How can we budget for this? Where can we find the money for that? Is it gonna be money donated from the liquor store funds? Is it gonna come from, the general fund? Where can it come from? So that's something we talk about.
And is this something that you're looking for, like this Veterans Memorial Committee, to come up with a couple different designs to bring before the park board for voting?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yep. I would like to, ultimately, I'd like to see kind of all ends of the spectrum as far as price-wise on designs. I can sit here and say I'd love to have something unique, different from every, memorial out there. Is that reasonable? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ideas out there. I have, my ideas, but I don't know if that's, realistic as far as price-wise. We talked to Byron. Those statues that they have up there were $100,000. So that was pretty crazy in my opinion, but...
I think the pillars over at that center were 10 to 15 each pillar.
Right. I just want to make sure, I want to do this project right. I don't want to slap something together. I think this is a very important piece to Veterans Park, and I want to make sure that we do it the right way and honor, the veterans in the right way.
Get everybody's name.
I'm Todd Nelson.
Todd, I remember Todd.
Melissa
Then
Halverson.
Yeah,
Roberta Pogel.
Berta.
John Buchanan.
Has it been considered, or is it up for consideration to also include in the Veterans Memorial, to include first responders in that?
I would absolutely consider that. That obviously wasn't on my radar to begin with, in light of what has happened in the recent month. I think that's fair. Like I said, I don't want to make those decisions. I think as a community should vote on something of that.
Getting the public's interest might be good, if the committee could find a way to gain some public interest of what do they want in a Veterans Memorial. Do they want it to have each branch? Do they want it to have first responders? How far out do you want it to go, and who do we want to reach? Who do we want to honor? And I'd hope the committee could do a little bit of that research or that legwork to kind of find out who are we trying to target, how are we trying to support them, what thoughts do the community have? Because if the community has that thought and involvement, they might be more in tune to supporting it financially.
I'm just spitballing here, but I thought, what if you did some sort of rendition contest in conjunction with festival? Either the rendition contest designed by veterans only, or the veterans judge it, submitted by a community member that might have an interest in piecing that together. Just something that I thought of.
I like that.
But they have to be involved, the veterans.
Yeah, we want them to be,
Yeah.
Look on the Monument has done several of these veterans memorials, and they actually will help do the design,
Yep.
part of the cost, and they're really good at it.
I drove through Blooming Prairie, I liked theirs too the other day when I drove through there. Theirs is very nice. Yeah, there's some really good ones in our local area that we could, I don't want to say compete with, but design something that would be just as honoring as theirs are.
Well, it's one of those cases you go, how far away do you drive to find something different that is not gonna be somewhat similar to go from here to there? And my case in point, and I'm not gonna make anything bad about it, but you get Welcome to Casson sign is the same one that goes Welcome to Cannon Falls. It's like, we couldn't come up with something further away versus have the same type of arch, make it more unique versus copycat, so, yeah, it's one of those things that you don't wanna do it cheaply, but you wanna do it right. And you really wanna make it stand out to say, you want people to say, I like Casson's, because you have people say, I like Dot Centers, I like Byron's, there's reasons of like everything, but you don't want somebody to say, oh, Jesus, Casson kinda, that's all they did. That's what you don't wanna hear, so So I think the challenge is, 2025, 2026, not to get the community too excited to think that this is gonna happen next year. The challenge is to be able to let them know this is just the beginnings of getting something versus nothing different than playground modules, saying, well, now you put a park there, and you said you're gonna put this playground module in there, a year later saying, where's all our playground stuff? It's gonna take a little time to build it, so don't get the cart above, ahead of the horse, so, that's the other challenge when committees are out there trying to drum the interest, let them know that this is a 3-year program or a 3-year project, don't think it's gonna happen sooner unless all of a sudden we come into, somebody donates a large amount of money to get something done faster so that's, I think, the other side of the...
I think, I'm on the festival committee, and, you would reach a lot of people, a lot of community members, just by having a simple booth at the festival, which we would we would welcome that. You could, just even to get committee members to sign up, or, whatever you wanted to do with that, but you could certainly do that, at the festival even this year if you wanted to, and I would be the contact for that.
Do we have any emails from citizens that wanted to also be part of the committee? Outside, okay.
And I was kinda late on the ball, 'cause I don't think we got it out in the newsletter to the
It
public.
was on Facebook.
It was on Facebook, yep, but I don't know, that doesn't reach quite everyone.
Yeah. How did everyone hear about it?
To go on the one that goes out next week,
Okay.
if anybody else is interested.
We can always add people if we need
Right.
to.
You don't want too many.
No,
Right,
no.
ultimately, I figured, I kinda talked with someone else about this, like 5 people. I don't know if that's between 5 and 7. I don't wanna have too many, 'cause then there's too many heads butting and too many, maybe people overtaking others. I guess, to start, are any of you interested in being on this committee? Okay.
So there's 4 right there.
Would we suggest having, Ben, you as the city side of it, and then someone from Park Board as a Park Board rep?
That would be fine.
And I think Tim had mentioned, our city administrator is a veteran as well. I think he had some interest, can't speak for him, he's not here today. But I'm sure he would have a vested interest in this. This is something he's talked about several times, something he wants to see too. So I think we talked to Tim, I know he's pretty busy, and I don't know if he could be part of the committee, but there's someone you could talk to for some ideas and support from the city side of it.
I don't know if I would quite count on him with his schedule to be on the
Yeah.
committee, but
No,
I know
but-
he would be a good person to contact for...
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd probably do some legwork to help out, on a side note, so...
The budgeting side of it, the cost side of it, that would be our city administrator would definitely be the person to talk to on that too.
Casson have a foundation.
Used to.
I don't think they do anymore.
I think it abandoned, but
The committee I was on, that's how we funneled all the money into that, so there was no accounting on the people on the board.
Yeah, 'cause right now Byron has their big foundation thing coming up here next month, don't they?
used to,
But I think they have kind of disbanded.
okay,
I think the last
They
time,
could form a new one if we needed to.
yeah.
seems to me it was, was there, all of a sudden, funds just all of a sudden got put towards, and then I think it just kinda fell apart, so.
Well, if
Okay.
you need a park board rep,
Chuck, you're gonna,
I'll do it. I'm a veteran anyway, so it'll be all right.
perfect, thank you.
I gotta-
Is there one of you that would like to spearhead that committee?
I'm sorry, what?
Or you guys just wanna meet and then you guys can come up with,
Yeah, we can figure that out later.
yeah, I don't think you have to answer just yet.
Find a group, I wouldn't mind spearheading it, just, I travel a lot, so I'm not here all the time.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Todd. And Ben, you're gonna be with the city side?
Yep.
Okay, so at this point, I've got Todd, Melissa, Roberta, John, Chuck, and Ben all gonna be kinda spearheading, so that gives you a 6 of ya.
Yeah.
If somebody else happens to wanna, come in from the community that you guys think is a worthy source, or if you know of somebody that, you know, you wanna bring in too, has got some great insight, you know, we'll leave it up to you guys, so.
I know Mike Boroff used to work for Parks. He may be a good individual. He knows a lot of people in town.
Okay, is that Mike Boroff?
Mike Boroff,
Okay, well, you wanna check with Mike, so. And we'll just throw Tim under the bus and say he's half in.
I think he'd have.
I
some
think
vested
he'd like to
interest
kinda keep
I know
up
he
with
is
what's
too.
going on,
He's a numbers guy, so, I mean,
so,
that would be good to have.
yeah.
Yep.
If there's no foundation, it'd be good to have him for that.
Mhm.
okay.
You don't want the board handling the funds.
And I think with other projects
No,
where we've taken funding and we've asked for donations, I think of like our skate park, where did the funds go for that? Did they go directly to the city?
I
I know that was Ronnie back then.
That
maybe
was,
someone on the board
it was,
knows.
I think it's Janet, and you might help. I think that was as those kids raised their money, that was designated strictly for the skate park,
Okay.
set aside, so it wasn't the, obviously in
I
the
know
city,
it's not
but
the
it
same
was.
amount of cost, but just thinking, where did they put that money?
Yep.
My question is, I don't know how your budget cycle, when I worked for the county, we couldn't carry over money for any length of time. I don't know if that would be a factor here. And
Yep.
that's why we
We have
use the
done it.
foundation.
Because like with playground modulars and things, we do carry it 2 to 3 years to,
Okay.
so I think they can.
That would be a good question for Tim.
Okay,
So really, we need to think of when is the next date for your committee to meet, so we get contacts from everyone,
Well,
obviously.
I think as of now, as long as I got contacts, you know, I can send out an email and see what works for everyone else. Whether we meet here or elsewhere, that, you know, that's still up for discussion. You know, my main goal tonight was to get a committee started at a peak interest, see who was interested, and then I guess our next meeting would, you know, try to get some things organized, who's gonna do what, how we're gonna go about it, and then from there on, we can start on designs and costs and things like that. And you know, like I said, this is the first project of this magnitude that I've done, so I'm really green at this, but I wanna make sure we do it the right way.
Just a question, Ron Unger said at one time there were funds available. Did those
Yeah,
budget?
they're non-existent.
All right.
I'm sure that got eaten up.
Yeah, it's been used up, as far as what I've seen in our budget.
I don't ever remember having somebody say this is for a memorial, set it aside to the city. You know, we've talked about a memorial for a long time. We've done a lot of stuff at North Park, and, you know, when you start,
I thought he was budgeting toward it, but I don't know.
I don't remember anything dollar-wise going into something, but,
10,000, and I heard
Yeah.
20,000 was set aside for it, but, yeah.
Is there a way to contact Ronnie, just to ask?
Well, I have, and
Okay.
he said he was, but like I said, it wasn't in
Couldn't find it.
this year's budget, so.
they'd have to go back into past budgets, and I'm sure we have a city administrator or something go back, or someone can try to go back and find that, but let's just say we're starting from fresh. And if they find something later on that's still sitting there that we can grab, that's just a perk. So, so I think we have a good start of a committee. Thank you, all of you, all four that are in the audience, and Chuck, and,
I'll start getting with the guy who replaced me, because I think they provide grants to the state Veterans Affairs for memorials now.
okay,
They did before, you know,
Okay.
that'd be great.
I'll check into that.
Okay. All right, well, thank you guys for
Thank you
all coming,
very
so
much, I appreciate
it.
you guys.
Todd, you don't have a relation to Tom or Terry Nelson, do you?
What's your last name?
Christensen?
Depends on who's asking. I think that's...
I'm number 5.
I just texted him, I was like, that, you guys have the, okay. I hunt with them in Lanesboro.
Okay,
I just saw him Sunday. We were
Terry or
processing both.
yeah,
Yeah, Tom was moving a little slow with the shoulder.
yeah. I have 7 brothers, we're all Keys, so.
Yep. Thank you, good to meet you.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you very much. Okay, well, that's a good start on the memorial. And the idea of bringing in the first responders, are there other memorials that have first responder
I don't know.
things? I
I
mean,
honestly
it's...
You know, and to your point, you know, you had brought up pillars, right? So, I mean, obviously that was kind of in my head, I wanted something like that for each branch, and why couldn't we do another pillar for first responders?
If we want to be different, and nobody else has done it, there's our chance to be different.
It is, right.
I think it's cool.
We
I
have a
love
lot of
it.
volunteers on our first responders,
Yeah.
our firefighters.
And I think, you know, the Old Town Monument, if they've done quite a few of them, I'm sure he's got all kinds, or they've got probably a multitude of emblems or designs or, you know, and if there is a first responder one, if there's not, well, it's time to,
It would be
To
kind
have
of a
one.
fun way to,
you know, 'cause there's, you know, a lot of them are dedicated time.
absolutely.
So, whether they're paid or not paid, well, they're paid in some way, but, you know, career or non-career, it's,
Well, the time they dedicate to the, you know, look at our cast and firefighters.
yeah, they're all the volunteers, yeah.
You know, that's.
Family time they're giving up
Yeah.
to go to meetings
You think
and,
about all the training they have, I mean, on a weekly, monthly
Yep.
basis, so.
and then the responsibility they put upon themselves. So, no, that's, that'd be a nice little, you know, work it into a focal point, so.
So, Ben, you said you talked to the Legion?
Yep.
Did they hint at any design that they have already, or did
No,
they just kinda?
you know, so the gentleman I met with, Brett, he's more on the, fundraising side of the Legion. He had talked to the board, and I had asked him, I said, you know, if I need to come to a board meeting and, you know, pitch whatever, I'd be happy to. He actually was the one that, because Todd was the one that I think Ronnie used to work with, because he was at the county. Now that I saw his face, I know who he is. His kid, I think, was a year older than me. But, you know, I think, Brett put him in touch with, like, our meeting here tonight. So I don't know how much the Legion's gonna have involvement, and Brett, made it known to me that they are changing their board here in July, I think it was. So, I mean, there could be new people to be dealing with.
There might be fundraising opportunities through the Legion.
Yep.
Like their bingo nights,
Yep.
their steak nights, like
Oh, yeah.
getting
That was-
people together from the community that want to help support the funding of this, having them go and volunteer their time and then...
And he was throwing out ideas left and right, whether it was a beanbag tournament or this or that. So, I mean, I think there's a magnitude of...
Well, actually, we as a group could do a steak night Friday night, just for fundraising.
Right.
Something,
Sure. Nope.
I just think the next step for us would be the committee to get together and actually kind of hatch out, you know, what's going on, who's gonna do what, who's gonna spearhead certain parts of it, and then we'll figure out ideas. And like I said, I would love to get a rendering of, let's say, 3 ideas. I'd try to, I mean, if we get 10 and we get it down, us as a committee can get it down to 3, and then we present those 3 to the public, you know, 3 in different price ranges, and say this is...
Well, it's probably gonna take 6 months to even get something
Yeah.
yeah.
rolling.
I'm realizing that these things don't move quickly, but there's a reason why this isn't gonna go quickly, is because we're gonna do it the right way.
Okay. All right. So probably every other meeting or something, we'll just see if there's any
We'll
update.
get some updates, yep.
So just to kinda keep us in the loop and where things are and...
I was just happy people showed up. Not that I had doubt, but...
Yeah, really.
I'm just glad that there's interest in the
Yeah.
community for this, so...
So, good. Okay. Anything else on the Veterans Memorial?
No,
Not
I
yet?
think that's about it.
Okay. So let's go to Arbor Day observance. What date do we pick on that?
So the last Friday is the 26th of April.
26, okay.
Lions Club already said that they would partake and donate for the trees. And their new president is, Ralph Solberg.
Ralph is, okay. Any idea where you have them
I'm still-
designed for, or up in the air yet?
I'm still
You got
debating
time.
on that. I mean, obviously with North Park, we've removed 20-some ash trees, so
So in the north part?
I'm thinking that North Park is probably gonna be our primary target at this point. to try to get those replaced. I know we got 4 out there last year, towards the end of the year from Wilker, and I have some budgeted for this year yet, so the more I can get out there, the better.
Okay. Do we have a quantity of trees that we're thinking?
So typically, we've done 2. I'm assuming that's probably what we're gonna do. They're gonna be container-sized trees, so they're on the cheaper, cheaper side, obviously, 'cause we plant those.
Sure.
So, I'll have to see what I like to go to Houston's just 'cause they're local, keep it that way, see what kind of stock they get this year. 'Cause I'm trying to get away from as many maples. That's the nice thing with Wilker, is I can give them a list of species, and, 'cause we have so many maples in this town, and I'm afraid something...
There's the next bug, right?
Yeah, that's what makes me nervous, so...
Oh.
Do you have a time you wanna do this?
I think like if we did like 10 a.m., like, I think that's a pretty comfortable
This
time.
seems to be the,
I don't like
time
doing
if
it
I
right
remember
away
right.
in the morning.
let the sun get up.
Yep,
Right.
10 a.m. gives us time to go get the trees if we hadn't already and make sure everything's ready to go,
Okay.
so.
Okay, so we'll set that, April 26th as the observance. That can go out in the, probably just newsletter, probably, I would assume.
For sure, do we use the Veterans Card, we gotta,
And lock in the,
we have a lot to set in before we publicize.
Right. Yeah.
or it's just the Facebook, it doesn't have to necessarily be in the brochure, just Facebook saying.
Give me a couple
week-
days,
Week or
but
two before, so.
I think it's pretty fair, we'll stick with North Park, I think. that's
Well, it's,
okay.
Still
I
get
think
it in
we're working on
March.
that, unless we decide to do it in some other park, but, based on the trees that came down,
Yeah,
gotta try to get some back out there, so.
Yeah.
Because otherwise April would be too late,
Yeah.
so it needs to be in this March.
It's a-
If it goes in that newsletter,
Newsletter.
right.
it needs
Yeah.
to,
Till first
Well,
next week.
let's lock it in for North Park. I mean, that's an easy, yes.
Okay.
Sure. I have no problem with that. Does anybody else have a, like your front yard or something? Boulevard?
I mean, I live in Manorville, is that okay?
That's fine. We'll find a tree to put in there that's sitting in the container. It might be a little tiny one, but.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna lock in the Lions, North Park, yep. And the Lions Club will help out. And Lions Club's paying for the trees? Is that the idea?
Yeah, they've done it for the last,
Okay.
I don't know how many years, 'cause they're always part of Arbor Day, so.
Yep, they are.
Yep.
Okay, make sure you thank the Lions Club. So, okay. Let's move on to adult softball.
So, I have, the managers meeting tomorrow night. I don't know what we're gonna get for teams. We've set the price for $300 a team, which is less than what it's been in the past. They're not sanctioned. As of now, if I have 5 teams so far, they had talked about getting some other teams to play for this year. I don't know if that's, till I can see people in person, I don't know for sure. I do know one of the teams from last year pulled out. If we don't have enough, and they still wanna play, then we're gonna have to reconsider pricing, 'cause I can't charge 3 teams, $300 to play. Obviously, I'll charge them something for the prep of the field, the use of the lights, but obviously $300 is gonna be unreasonable to charge, 3 teams if that's what it is. I want them to keep playing. I don't know if so one of the things I was gonna talk to them about tomorrow night is what can we do to try to bring this back a little bit. I would like to see more teams play. I don't know if it's just dying and maybe it'll come back later. I don't know.
Does McQuillan ever have overflow for teams where they just don't have enough fields? Or are they not having an issue right now?
And I don't know.
I don't know, maybe pairing with Rochester and saying, hey, we're your away site, so 1 week, every Thursday, when you have Thursday games, 4 teams come here and play. So partnering with them, so you're using the fields.
Right.
I don't know if you want softball here and we're not gonna have enough teams.
So my only concern with that is, I look at it as, okay, if we don't end up having a men's league softball, that frees up a field for youth youth baseball,
Yeah.
which obviously we're in need of more fields for baseball. And I don't know what the logistics as far as them being sanctioned is using our field. Am I supposed to find these umps, or, you know, I don't know how that all works.
Yeah, I don't know, there's no
So I'm
logistics
just
for it.
kinda scared of diving into something like that.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah, it would definitely be something to look into, and even tomorrow night, I'm gonna say, you know, would you guys rather be sanctioned? I mean, they all told me they didn't want to. The guys that play are on sanctioned teams, so they didn't find it necessary.
Saved them money.
So, I would like to maybe see if we can't keep it closer to our community for now, and if it just kind of falls apart, maybe reach out to Rochester, you know, I don't know what Byron does, but,
10 years ago, you'd have enough teams for a Thursday and a Friday night.
right.
20 years ago, you'd have enough for a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday
Yeah.
night.
I mean, I look at when my dad played softball, and, did you play with
I
him?
played, no, I didn't play with them, but I played starting in 1991, I think it was.
That was when I was born.
So you're that kid, damn near, who walked in, 2 years later, this kid walking filled diapers, is that you?
It very well could have been.
So, no, and you're right, that's when we had a Wednesday night league and a Thursday night league, and then you had the co-rec on Friday night, and we had,
Only.
you know, 4 teams,
Right.
you know, all the way, yeah.
I mean, this is gonna be, I mean,
18,
I look
yeah.
at, this is the same as what hockey was. I mean, when I first started the adult league hockey, we had 18.
1991's birthday. What day were you born?
Yeah. But I mean, that died
Jan
down,
got you some
and
birthday cakes.
we don't even play hockey in Casson anymore. I go to Roch now, 'cause we have no teams to play in Casson. You know, people are busy with their families. That youth sports, dedication for parents is huge.
Well, that's just it, I think, you have, with the onslaught of junior high, senior high, taking your kids everywhere, even younger than junior high.
I was gonna say, it's way younger than that.
You know,
The traveling teams are
the-
elementary school.
The young parents don't have the time to do it because they got the little kids out there going everywhere with.
Right.
I mean,
So-
even when I was younger, I had hockey year-round. I mean, we did showcase spring, summer, and fall, and then played our normal league winter, you know.
Anybody want Ryan's Skittles?
Yeah. So I don't, you know, I don't know what's gonna come of this meeting tomorrow, but I would hope that we can gather enough teams to have a fun league. It sounded like they enjoyed it last year, and it went well for them, so.
Well, West Concord still has theirs, right? Or don't they?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's, you know, that's one of those things I haven't paid attention in the last 5 or 6 years, because I've just got other stuff to pay attention to besides me trying to be young and look like I fit into a sports facility somewhere.
Anything ever happen with volleyball? We talked about that a while.
So that gal said she would reach out to me, for this year. She was concerned about not having enough teams. I think she just wanted to see what the interest is, what the city could provide for her as far as the field. I know, Tim had approached me about maybe making another volleyball court, sand volleyball court, which actually, you know, on a cost perspective, that's fairly cheap to do. If we could gain enough interest, I would be more than happy to add another court.
Yeah.
Now, where, I don't know. We do have some space, you know, next to the park shop. There's, and I don't know what the utilities are under that ground. It's right behind those houses, Shay's house.
They use that horseshoe pit area?
So that's empty right now, so that's another option too. I just wanna, we had thought, at one point I had kinda talked, you know, if that lot worked out big enough, or size-wise, we could get 2 in that open lot, potentially get rid of that sand volleyball court and have that more of the Veterans Memorial. I don't know if that's realistic or not. I haven't done to see what the utilities are. I don't know if, you know, I don't wanna have Shays be upset because there's 2 volleyball courts basically in his backyard. So that's kind of out there, but I wanna see what the interest is of sand volleyball before we add more courts. I mean, it doesn't, you know, make sense to add another court if we're not gonna use it.
Right, right.
But I mean, it's very cost-effective. It's not like we're doing a pickleball court where we gotta pave it and fencing
Well,
and netting and...
now you mentioned pickleball court, I had a gal stop in yesterday that goes up there early mornings and plays pickleball, with a group
At Lions?
at Lions.
Okay.
Okay, and she's wanna know when we're gonna be working on 2 more courts somewhere,
Yeah.
or another court somewhere next to it, and she was, I said, well, at the time we did the one, we probably wish we would've done 2. Not realizing the impact of, just put a second one, but the space was kinda, this is our space, let's do it. And I just kinda told her, it doesn't come cheap. Where do we put it to make it, accessible to, I'm gonna say, seniors to get to it? You can't just put it deep somewhere into a, setback so far that can't get the ADA to it for handicap accessible. And then she was also saying how that their group had been harassed by the kids
Yeah.
from the bike and the skate park, and they've had some issues, and the police have been called. So she's telling me all the ins and outs. I said, well, just take a picture with your phone and call the police, and she says, that's what we've been doing, so. But that's because the kids, she said, they're coming out of the apartment complex right there, and just, is there a different spot better? I said, I can't give you the answer, and I asked her about the tennis ball court, and she says, we've been up there, but there's dead spots. You want that new coverage, there's spots the ball just dies, and there's trip hazards, and I said, there's dollars involved that, these things aren't cheap to put up, but not that there isn't funds to do something. We don't have it at this point without, putting it into a budget to have it for 3 years down the road, then where?
Well, it's hard, 'cause I'd like to try to, appease everyone,
Mhm.
but there's priorities that, in my opinion, I have for the parks of Cass, and yes, I would have loved to have added 1 more court back when we built them.
When we did it, yep.
Does any of us here play pickleball?
Haven't tried it yet.
So, that's to my point, is none of us really knew the impact that it would have, or how vital a second court would have been. But now when you look back, you're like, well, it's usually a group of 8 that go up there, and then they're taking turns at that 1 court. I get that. If we could've gone back, I don't know, I mean, that was a pretty spendy to get that fencing around there. It's probably one of the more expensive parts of that.
And that's, so I said in time, and she said fundraising, I says, unless you can find somebody that's got some money in their pocket to help put these in, I didn't have an answer for her, 'cause
Right.
when I told her whatever we were talking about, I was on the park board. Oh, you're on the park board? I said, yeah, I've been there a long time, I said, so I've seen a lot of things happen.
And you go back to even Veterans Park, that was done before I started, and had I been able to have an input on that, it really wouldn't have been terribly expensive, for my crew at least, to remove what was existing. Now, I can't give you a price on what paving that lot would be, but the hard part about that is we'd have to add fencing. I know that's a big deal with pickleballers, is to not be shagging balls left and right.
Right. Right, that's just it, you gotta enclose it.
We've got some developments coming up here in the next year or two.
Yep.
As they look at dedicating parkland, could we ask them to help invest in, if they're dedicating parkland, invest in the pickleball courts in that area? Is that something?
Potentially. That's something that's more on the new side for me. I know that when they do developments, there is parkland, put towards those. Whether they're gonna be in great locations or not, I don't wanna just stick a pickleball court on here and 1 over there. I think if we do them, we have to have a minimum of 2 at a
I think we need a pair, right, a pair at each site. And I guess one option that ran through my head after I talked to her, and I didn't bring this up to her, I said, but you take that skate park, the bike park that's up at
Yeah.
Lions up there, that could probably be very easily turned into a pickleball courts, but then the kids that put their money and raise their money to help build that are gonna say, where are you gonna move my skate or bike park to?
I would feel like we'd have a pretty negative impact if we took that away.
Well, especially for the kids knowing that they're using it, but
You know, it does stink, you know, Lions Park is a fantastic park. It's so accessible to the public by view. It's on a popular road. It's unfortunate that, you know, some of the patrons to that park have issues with, you know, kids.
with the
But
kids.
it's no different than up at North Park. We
Yep.
still have issues up
I
there.
mentioned to him about the crow's
Same
nest
thing.
And
and,
it's probably the same kids.
It very well could be.
Yeah.
I could probably give you their names right now.
Yeah.
well, she said,
We've been down that road before.
she said she could hear them hollering and screaming in the apartments before they all came out to do their harassing to them, so.
The kids, right?
Yeah, first thing you do, no matter if it's kids being naughty, if it's a dog loose, just call the local PD. They'll come, they'll deal with it, that's what they're there to do. Those kids, once they have to pay for it, their parents have to pay for it, then things will change. Until their parents have to pay for it, nothing's going to change.
So, but you're right, you know, it's hindsight, wish we would've put a second one up there at the time. Dollars speak, and they were the last people to get the dollars to be able to spend freely, so.
We were pretty fortunate to get what we got up there to begin.
Yeah, it's a good start, it really is, so. Any more on adult softball, I guess, before we
Nope,
get too far?
that's all.
So we're good on that. Nice little discussion on what's going on in the parks and things to look forward to. Any old business that anybody has to talk about? Besides Jan's gonna be here next month, right? No, we're going to Jan's
Oh.
next
I
month.
did wanna say, so Christine, you brought up, power out at North Park for, kinda near that planter.
Yep.
So I did talk to Jared. Jared said that's gonna be an A&A thing, as far as them getting the power there. The only thing that Jared from the electric department would do is maybe, you know, trench it in.
Okay,
I would have to talk to Joel with A&A. We probably wouldn't have that as budgeted for this year.
okay,
But I would I'll get a price from him just to see. After talking with Jared in the electric department, he said, you might as well have a panel of outlets. Don't just put, you know, 2 or whatever. He said you kind of almost do a smaller board of what we have on the southwest corner, kinda.
sure,
So
okay.
at least then, you know, more than one people, you know, booth can draw off that.
Okay,
So I'll dig into that with Joel and just see what it would cost.
okay. Why don't you find out what it costs, and we can see if the festival even would help pay
Sure.
some of that. I don't know if we can or not, but, it wouldn't hurt to ask. 'Cause it's getting quite a ways away from the other,
Yeah, and I
you
understand
know,
that, and
frontage road, I mean, it's right in the center of the park, so if we go from the frontage road one or from the sidewalk ones on the south side.
he, you know, and I don't know anything about electric. I stay away from it for the most part. But he made it sound like it'd be pretty easy to tap into that and get something out there.
Okay,
It's mainly gonna be the labor cost that's gonna go into it, and then, you know, putting the line in, you know, that's gonna be probably the most expensive part. But I'll get a price and I'll relay that to you.
Okay,
and
perfect.
we can see what we could do.
Okay, did you contact Castle Laser Graphics maybe on little size of plaque to go up by North Park
So
and that?
that's not, I mean, we're looking at what'd I say it was, 4 by...
4 by 6, 4 by 6.
If nothing else, maybe I can talk to John, I'll talk to John up there,
I think as of now,
just,
I had talked with Tim, and I talked with Jared in the electric department. The only thing that's on that pole is the light for the flag.
okay,
Tim said just remove the pole.
okay.
And I'm okay with that as long as we can move the light somewhere where it's not gonna be messed with by kids. So I'm gonna kinda work with Jared on that. I just
So
figured...
not on the swing set, not on top of the pavilion.
Yeah, right. We're limited, and even if it's something where, you know, I've seen, like, homeowners have those solar panel ones that hook onto the
They
actual
clamp
flag
onto the pole
Yep.
and shine up.
And that would be sufficient until I don't wanna put anything major into it if we're gonna do a memorial, you know what I mean?
I got one that sits on top of the pole,
Shines down?
shines down.
Okay. You know, and that's things we could look into.
And it's solar.
Yeah, and so, it might be just enough to make it still light, so somebody's gonna say, you don't have light in the flag, 'cause you're
Right.
gonna have those people, it's like, well, but we've had a week of non-sunshine, this is why, but, you know, Mother Nature will help control
I know
something, so.
the memorial's a ways out, I just don't wanna put money into a sign that we'll ultimately remove
No.
regardless.
I agree.
So, and it's, you know, at that point then, if we add a sign to it, or, you know, whatever it says, we're gonna have to repaint that, it's all rusted and,
Yeah.
you know, so I just think at this point,
That's fine,
maybe we get it out of there this summer and,
And whatever 3 people are gonna call and say, I see you took this down, and everybody's got comments like, well, did you read the little placard we had it? And they'll say, well, what did it say? If you read this, call City Hall, and nobody called City Hall, so evidently nobody read it, so, and they
yeah,
didn't
so
either.
I think we'll try to get that out of there this year.
So, okay, all right.
I know that the playgrounds have been put on the back burner, but did Sarah still write for those grants? Did we get any grant money
I don't
from
think,
anything?
I mean, she would've contacted me if we would've got, we were in pretty close contact for a while, I think she would've reached out to me if we would've gotten any grants. I didn't wanna, I had talked to her and just said, you know, as of now, until I figure out more of the logistics as far as what we can and can't do, from a liability standpoint, I just don't wanna, I felt like maybe we were rushing that project a little too much, and she kind of agreed, she understood. I just wanna make sure we had all of our ducks in a row before we move forward, and she got that, so she never reached back out to me as far as if we got any grants, so. I don't wanna say we won't do it, but after realizing the potential trouble we could have with that, I know the schools has issues with as far as wood chips and stuff like that, and I'm scared to bring light to our situation, 'cause we could end up having to redo all of our playgrounds, with poured in place, and we would never see another playground again if we had to do that. So like I said, I just wanna make sure we do it the right way and try to make everyone happy, as many people happy as we can.
Okay. Anything else? Besides a thank you to Jan for,
Years.
Many, many years.
How many is it, Jan?
26 plus.
Wow.
and I've been here longer than that? I've been telling people like 24, 25 when they ask me how long I've been, so.
Counting's hard.
Okay. Well, yeah, I graduated elementary a long time ago, so I forgot how to count. Well, thank you for everything, so,
When is your final last day?
Using vacation and everything is April 20th, but my final day in office is next Tuesday.
Wow.
Tuesday. So we'll do a fire call. There's
There's
a fire in City Hall.
Could be, could
Maybe
be.
we ring the sirens of Casson?
Yeah.
Good luck to you.
Something, what was that
Enjoy
for?
retirement.
No, I don't wanna talk about that.
I thought it was.
Is this where I'm supposed to push the mute button?
Yeah, I don't wanna talk about that.
I personally would like to thank Jan, even though I've only been here for, almost 2 years in Ronnie's spot, but it has been fantastic working with you, and you have helped me out so much, and I appreciate that.
I will miss this group.
It's a nice break at the end of work to go home and say, I'm glad I sat in on it. And I know I do the same thing my 26-plus years. And it goes back, and you've seen this, is where, when we had our meetings at the little office, and we have six...
So I love it in the shop.
Yep. Yep, when that was built, we said, let's have it out there, so, you know, something new and different when they're remodeling. And, yeah, it's really advanced.
Grab a cupcake.
Yeah, grab, don't take the whole tray, baby.
And I'll second what Ben said from Festival. I mean, I was just kind of thrown into a lot on that committee, and you were the person that knew what was going on and got me through an awful lot of stuff, so I'm gonna miss you.
Well, for what's been pushed through your mind that you've had to do and recognize city-wise, I couldn't fathom that. You know, just running a business is one thing, but when you're helping and all the nuances of it, the city stuff that you've dealt with, been around, and Caston's a great place for you to be, and glad you were here for it, so.
You have big shoes to fill, but we welcome you.
And we do hire people at the store that are retired.
Yeah, that's the first thing, I wanna go work somewhere.
We'll give you 6
She'll be
months.
knocking on your door tomorrow, I'm pretty sure.
I've had people say no, but they said, I was like, I am bored as heck.
That first day of retirement, you better not get out of that recliner.
Keep your slippers on and pajamas on, have a second cup of coffee, but thank you, so.
Yep, and I'd
It's
like to
great to
say
see
thank
you.
you, 'cause I had 2 terms of council with you, and it's just been wonderful. Really nice. The happiest day during the council was when Matt or someone said, "Do you wanna be on park board?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." Oh, yeah, so I thank you.
What's your opinion now?
Oh, that's why I'm still here.
So, that's right, that's why we're all here, so. Okay, well, Jan, thanks again, appreciate it, so. Otherwise, if there's no other things that go on, I need a motion for adjournment. The next meeting is gonna be April 16th. I might be gone that week, but I'll let you know.
I'll be around, so.
Good. Chuck's got a city. Chuck, you gotta bring snacks.
Oh, no.
Tell you what, stop by the store the week before.
Okay.
I'll have a little to-go box, so when you bring here, they got something to...
Yeah.
And as I'm walking out the door, it's gonna...
Yep, here, I think everybody could use one of these little statues and a bag of soil and something, so. Okay, well, I need a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, this meeting is hereby closed.